Welcome, Robert. Thank you so much for accepting my invitation. And we at LawSeco and Skill Arbitrage are too happy to have you here. This interview, which we are conducting, it will be hosted on our YouTube channel, as well as we'll be posting the same in text format on our SuperLawyer website. And we really are thankful to you once again. So I would first introduce our guest, Mr. Robert Hanna. I have known him for quite long in the online world, but today I got the chance to interview him in person virtually again. But I know him as the Robert Hanna, the legally speaking podcaster who builds legal community for us lawyers. He's the founder of KC Partners UK and is a seasoned legal talent solutions expert, specializing in guiding legal professionals like us in their careers globally. With a rich background in legal recruitment, he is an influential voice in the legal community. He is very well known for his strategic advisory roles in recruitment and legal tech startups. As a LinkedIn influencer and host of the Legally Speaking podcast, that, as I mentioned earlier, it is powered by Clio. Rob brings a unique blend of technology insight and legal acumen. His extensive experience includes collaborations with prestigious legal organizations and contributing to best-selling legal literature. His passion for DEI, mental health advocacy, and his commitment towards building a collaborative, kinder legal community are hallmarks of his career, inspired by the legacy of his grandfather, who led a prominent law firm in the 1950s. I would like to move ahead and start our conversation with asking the very first question to a non-lawyer of his generation. What inspired you, Rob, to embark on a career in legal recruitment, and how does your family's legal background helps you or influences your approach?
Well, firstly, thank you ever so much for having me on the show. It's a real pleasure to be here. I've been a big fan of your work and what you're doing and the content you're producing and the people you're collaborating with. It was an absolute big yes from me to get the chance to speak with you today. So thank you. And thank you for that very kind introduction as well. To your question, I'll probably start in terms of my career. I very much fell into the recruitment world. I started my career in 2008, which was a very challenging time. It was a time of the Lehman Brothers crash. So, there was a double dip. It was really tough for people starting out in a career in the sort of recruitment and talent space. But actually, I'm very grateful for that experience because, if you can survive in a market like that, you can survive in any market. And that helped me through pandemics, which obviously we've seen, and everything else. So I fell into that industry and I took to it. I started in the City of London. I started as a FTSE 250. I was one of the most successful consultants of that time. I then got headhunted to move to a boutique recruitment firm. I helped scale that into sort of double-digit millions and, a team of 30. And I thought, this is fantastic, but I would love to do something for myself and something connected to my values and my family and my passion. And that's where the legal side came in. So my grandfather, as you very kindly mentioned, ran one of the most successful law firms in the UK outside of any major London law firm. And he built that by himself. He came from very humble beginnings. And I always thought if there was a way for me to combine my skill set on the talent recruiting side of things, but keep legal. And so that's how I started KC Partners, which is my legal talent solutions and content creation firm. I was very much sort of inspired by him and how he built his practice and law firms and how he treated people. And if I may, I just want to share a personal story as to why it went deeper than that. And it comes really down to, the things that I like to talk about: reputation, legacy. Every year when I was going to my grandfather's for Christmas time, I would see more and more Christmas cards come to his house. And this was post his retirement. He'd been retired maybe 10, 15 years at this point. And I would ask him jokingly, Grandpa, you don't have this many friends. Why do you get all of these Christmas cards? And he said, Rob, these are not necessarily friends. These are relationships that I built. These are clients of mine that I used to look after under my law firms. These are generations beneath my clients, families that I helped, sending me life updates, asking how I'm getting on and getting in touch with me. So I just thought, wow. if you let that sit for a minute, there's a lot of things that people are motivated by, but I thought if I could emulate that legacy, which was in an offline world, these are physical written cards. There was no social media. There was nothing like, you couldn't even use marketing. It was very much, reputation mattered in the 1950s in providing professional legal services. And I thought, wow, that is such a way to, he always said to me, live respected, die regretted, right? And I think absolutely that emulates that. And I thought, well, if I can emulate that reputation for doing good for the legal community, but in an online world, so it could be traceable, searchable. So my daughter can one day have a look online and say, Dad did good things for the legal industry. He tried to, inspire, educate, bring community together, make a change. That would be something that I would be proud of. And so everything that I do typically links around legal careers, but in a modern sort of progressive approach. Hence, I do all these other ventures. And, you very kindly mentioned the podcast. And, everything I try to do is to try and make the legal industry move forward, become this kind of more collaborative, innovative space. Because why should the legal industry always be one of the last to adopt technology? Why should it always be, one that says, it's got this archaic system that doesn't necessarily keep up with the times? I don't think that has to be the case. So the more that I can do to change and to help people with their careers, and as an extension of that story, I always say in our legal recruitment business, we don't want to find somebody a job. We want to find someone a career for life. And what we mean by that is it's very different to transactional. I want to build a relationship with someone at the start of their career and help them navigate right to the end of their career, wherever it may be. They may start as a trainee solicitor. They may become qualified in a law firm. They may want to move to an in-house career. They may want to start up a legal technology business. They may want to, and I always think, contacts are good, but relationships pay. So I really invest in deep relationships and getting to learn people, because we're all humans. We all have different drivers. When you first start your career, your personal drivers are probably different to when you're at the midpoint of your career, and so forth. So I think what really separates us is we're built on family values. We really care about people, and we want to help them throughout their career journey, whatever that may look like. And so I'll probably stop there, but that was really how the sort of legal aspect of recruitment came into my life, and the values and the inspiration and why it all started.
My next question would be obviously somewhere related to this only, but would like to ask about your insights on how the legal recruitment has evolved through times, and how the challenges that you have faced in this particular niche that you have actually carved for yourself. This is something which, as you mentioned, in 2008, you started. It was the time when nobody was even, I think, talking or thinking about it. So please shed some light on that as well.
Yeah, I think that's a really good question. And thank you for your kind words. I think, firstly, to let people know, the type of legal recruitment we do is typically for lawyers. It could be a corporate lawyer, it could be a banking lawyer, it could be a litigation, arbitration, employment, real estate. So we tend to do a lot of the sort of main private practice areas of law, and that's from a junior level right the way to a senior level. So, obviously we've been through a whole pandemic. So we've seen law firms unfortunately have to make redundancies, layoffs. So we've had all of that challenge. What did that mean? That changed a real evolution in recruitment, because typically it was always face-to-face. Every interview is face-to-face. Now law firms are a lot more comfortable to maybe do early stage processes online, which if you think maybe even 5 years ago would have been unheard of in terms of a protocol. So I think it's very important to understand that technology is now playing a greater part in the legal recruitment process and is more accepted with law firms. From a lawyer perspective and what motivates them and how that's evolved over time, I don't believe, particularly with the next generation of legal professionals coming through, that financial incentives are absolutely fundamental what drives them. Finances, of course, are important in terms of money and what you're paid, but values and real core values related to ESG, work-life balance, firm culture, these are really, really important. So what have been some of my challenges in terms of speaking to law firm clients? Well, it's been trying to educate these law firms on the importance of well-being, on the importance of, diversity, equity, inclusion, on the importance of having a flexible hiring practice, to attract top talent. So particularly Gen Z, which I think is full of innovation, full of creativity, full of energy. They typically have, maybe a side business or a side interest. I want law firms to embrace the whole human. They're not just just lawyers, they're humans. So I've really been trying to educate law firms as well on empathizing the human side of their lawyers, their own struggles. Not every partner got to be a partner of a law firm or an owner of a law firm without some struggles, but actually being human and sharing those and how they overcame those in stories rather than job descriptions is a great way to really, because people buy from people. It's human to human connection. I never say it's B2C or B2B, these common terms that have been used. It's H to H, it's human to human. Right? Everyone is human. We all have that connection. So the more that law firms can think about that and sort of, really showing that side of them, I think it's a great way to kind of attract talent. I think I always believe in sort of innovative strategies as well of changing motivations in legal recruitment. And I also like to share specific challenges I've overcome in educating clients and recruitment, because again, I'm educating my audiences on how is these things evolved, because, we're in ever-changing times. You can't ignore that legal technology is coming in thick and fast, from document automation to everything else involved. But so that means there'll be legal changes in jobs. That I read a statistic a little while ago about 95% of the jobs haven't even been invented yet that might exist in the next decade. That's quite crazy to think, but it's true, right? You can think of, legal process engineers. That could be a very sensible, and career. So it doesn't necessarily mean that everyone will be a lawyer who was always practicing a law. I think it's going to change. There's going to be all these exciting roles. And with that, obviously, the recruitment process is going to change as well. But I think it's very, very, very exciting time for the legal space. I get excited about legal. I get excited about the people that I collaborate with, like yourself, Divya, in terms of what you're doing, because I think there is this enthusiasm to say, hey, we are legal voices, but we're also humans. And we also want to bring out all our other passions and all our other interests and all our other, you're producing high quality content, you're collaborating with people. I think we can get the industry in that place where actually you can still be a fantastic legal professional, but also be yourself. I think that would really help when it comes to a lot of the mental health struggles we see in the industry and so many other things that maybe it's been a little bit limiting before, to let legal professionals really be their true selves throughout their career.
So as you said, I'll move forward with the same context to the next question, is what would you like to advise to the legal professionals when they are seeking to actually start their career path and navigate it through? As I remember, you said that you believe in careers for life and not only for organization or just for the sake of monetary benefits. So what would be your advice, Rob?
Well, this is a great example. What we're recording today, we met in the online world, right? You were, I think it may have been Clubhouse. I could be miscorrected, but we definitely met.
Yeah, absolutely right.
And so this is a great example of professional networking, and how that can lead to opportunities or collaborations that could be mutually beneficial for all parties. So I think one of the things you should always think about doing, and something I'm working on every day, is building a strong professional network. That is so important for career growth and opportunities, because this opportunity for me wouldn't have come about if I wasn't getting myself out there and networking and staying curious about new online platforms, because we wouldn't have known each other. So, you open doors for yourself through, using the likes of LinkedIn, using various other platforms that are out there that, by the way, are all free to use. It gives you an opportunity to really build a network, particularly within a niche area that you're interested in. So I highly recommend professional networking. I always have an expression, NSN, never stop networking. I think it's the number one thing we all need to be doing day in, day out. So, I'm continuously working on this. As an extension of that, I do believe a personal brand is important. And I'll tell you for why. You can lose your job during a downturn market. We've had pandemics that I've referenced. We've had tough markets. We've had boom markets, but you'll never lose your brand if you protect it. So what do I mean by that? In a down market, if you are at risk of losing a role, or you're at risk of losing clients, or you're at risk of losing, revenue streams if you're running a law firm, but the fact that you've built a personal brand, as an extension of that, you'll probably have contacts or relationships or people you could reach out to. So for myself, let's say my legal recruitment business folded tomorrow. I don't think we will. We've had one of our record years and our podcast stopped. But the point being, through my personal brand, there are people that I could lean on to call, to ask for help. And I always say, don't see asking for help as a weakness, see it as a strength. And why is it a strength? Because you're shortcutting the way to get the answer to what you need. Okay, so you think about, a lot of people say, oh, I'm not sure I could reach out to them, I should know that. You don't know what you don't know. And actually, it's very strong of you to reach out to ask for help, because you're going to get the answers that you need a lot quicker. So having a personal brand is your biggest asset in a boom market and your biggest insurance policy in a recession market. So I think it's super, super important, and opportunities come through that. Seek mentors. I've always had mentors throughout my career. You can only learn what's in your four walls if you're in a law firm or you're starting out in an in-house role in a company. But actually, there's so much wisdom out there. There's opportunities like this. You can learn from this show. You can learn from other resources out there. But having mentors is a really great way to give you career guidance, insights, and potentially open doors for you for conversations that you might want to try and be a part of. So I'm a big advocate for that. I also believe in sort of attending events and webinars and seminars. Again, these are all great ways for you to upskill, right? Because all we all want is access to information, right? The more information we have, the more informed we can make career decisions, the more informed we can advise our clients, the more informed we can be about just understanding the way of the world and how our industry is moving and shaking, right? So I think if you can get yourself in areas where you get access to really good information, you stand a really good chance of having a really successful career. So I would say there's some of the things I would be thinking about in terms of sort of navigating your career path effectively. I would also say build a relationship with a legal recruiter. Like I mentioned before, I'm not looking to place someone with a job, but they should be your trusted advisor. You shouldn't just be speaking to a legal recruiter when you need a job. I think that's a very transactional relationship, whereas actually a deep-rooted relationship would be, you should be checking in on your legal recruiter, asking them how they are. Candidates of mine ask me how my daughter is, how's things going? And yes, I share market insights, I give them information. It's a two-way exchange, it's a genuine relationship. But you want to build relationships with people that know everybody in the market. A lot of legal recruiters will know all the law firms, all the barristers' chambers, will know all the heads of recruitment, will know the partners, the owners of the law firms, the people in the various positions, because it's their job to have those networks. Building that relationship and genuinely maybe referring them people, being valuable to them, and vice versa, you will get a lot more back in terms of career opportunities, insights, and fun along the way. So I would say that's another thing I would think about doing.
So when you're talking about never stop networking, that is NSN, your concept, it clicked that I should be asking about your podcast as well, Legally Speaking podcast. So I would like to ask you about that particular podcast which you launched, and you have successfully make it a bigger community with every episode which you launch. How do you think it has impacted the legal community around you, and it has helped you have a better and a beautiful professional journey as you keep on talking about building relationships for a longer period of time and not only transactional relationships? So how was your experience building this?
Well, again, thank you. Look, I can give you the headlines. We're in the top 1% of shows in the world. I've had opportunities to speak for the likes of Thomson Reuters. We're in 5,000 cities. We're sponsored by a legal tech unicorn and Centaur, which a Centaur is over 100 million annual recurring revenue in Clio. We've had phenomenal guests in terms of presidents of Law Society, even Carol Baskin from Netflix, Tiger King, through to influential legal change makers, and so much more. But I want to talk about where it started, because that's fantastic. But I want to encourage people, because it all starts somewhere with the idea. And we had an idea. Unfortunately, ideas go to the graveyard without action. What we dared to do was take action. And so if you're sitting on an idea that you think you can add value to the legal community, you think you can add value to lawyers, you think you can add value to your profession, don't just let that idea sit there. Yes, you'll make mistakes along the way. And by the way, we've made thunderous amounts of mistakes with our Legally Speaking podcast as we've gone on, but we've continued, and we've been consistent, and we've been passionate, and we've been driven. And I always describe our show as a legal library, but with better snacks, right? So we're an entertaining, we enter, inspire, educate, entertain. We don't want to make it necessarily a very heavy conversation. We want to bring out the human side of the professionals. It's all about learning about legal careers, legal journeys. And so it's been fascinating learning about legal, how someone went from X to Y to Z, and now they're running their own law firms, or how they've made partner in this particular thing, coming from a certain background. And we shed light on very important topics. But I really want to stress people that, what we have done is nothing what you can't do. So I think everyone can do something with some encouragement and the right people around them and action. So yeah, absolutely. I do believe, and I'm very passionate believe, because I spend so much time, energy, and effort on the show that I'm proud of the show, because remember the legacy, my grandfather, I don't want to do anything that I don't think would be of the level. So I think we've been professional. I think we've been great in building community, educating. We talk a lot about, there's been so much legal change from careers, and we've got solicitor apprenticeships now over in the UK. We've got the solicitors qualifying exam, the SQE. There's been various changes, and so we're bringing all of that wisdom. Legal technology is changing all the time and shaping what the profession is looking like. Diversity, equity, inclusion. There's more to be done. We've had in-depth discussions with the presidents of the Law Society in England and Wales and beyond. We've had conversations with some of the people that have built legal tech unicorns. So we really try and bring all of that wisdom from bestsellers, authors, educators into one hub where actually people can search via our website and get something that will hopefully help them. And of course, we produce a lot of fun content and graphics and infographics and all of that just to make it more engaging and appealing. But it's absolutely 100%, I think, been a positive influence on the legal community, because it's done exactly that. It's brought people together. We were the first UK legal recruitment business to start a podcast in the legal space because we dared to be different, right? Because a lot of my competitors were still focusing on deal, transactions, which again, fine. I understand the need for, like lawyers in the billable hour, which I think with technology will eventually be eradicated. There is a need to hit certain targets. But when your mission is bigger than me, which it is to build a kind of more collaborative legal community, I think the only way to go is to build community. And with that, I need to make the time, energy, and effort. And I needed a vehicle to do that. My strength, I believe, is in communication. You very mentioned before, writing is a strength of you and a way that you get things down. I'm a horrible writer. It's not a strength of mine, okay? I'm not good at writing. I'm better at verbal communication. And so I play to my strengths. And that's a tip, by the way. If you're thinking of trying to produce an idea or content, think of a WAV strategy, which stands for written, audio, or video. You might be stronger in one of those sections. Play to your strengths. Really good way to sort of play to a strength that's strong for you. So anyway, we've then gone on to partner with Clio, who are, one of the world's leading legal practice management softwares. That took me out to Nashville in 2023, where we were a media partner for one of the largest legal tech conferences in the world. I got to meet incredible people. I heard Chris Voss, who was an ex-chief FBI hostage negotiator, Mel Robbins, who runs one of the biggest podcasts in the world. And it all happened again through an idea, and then sort of, people getting interested in the show. But we always come back to our focus. What are we trying to do? We're trying to help people when it comes to all things legal careers. So that's really been the premise. That's been the impact. And it aligns nicely with my legal recruitment business, because this was also a strategic, if I put my entrepreneurial hat on, business development move. Because when I first started my legal recruitment business, I had no clients. Nobody knew me. I'd never been in legal before. I was just this chap called Rob. And so I thought, what was a way that I could do something different to stand out, to get noticed, that would be valuable for an industry, i.e. legal, I was trying to penetrate. And I saw no one was doing podcasting. And this was back in 2018, 2019, when it was still quite new, podcasting. Now, of course, there are a lot of shows out there and it's great and it's more competitive. So I took a blue ocean opportunity, right? Red ocean, very saturated, lots of competition. We went to the blue ocean. Right. And so we started doing that. And then I could start my conversation with prospective clients, i.e. law firm partners, not hi ex partner, can I recruit for you? Because remember, start a relationship based on value. Hi ex partner, I would love to interview you to learn more about your journey. I'd love how you got to where you are. What are the interesting parts of your actual practice that you most enjoy and would be most appealing to talent that might want to work for you in the future? And I'll create the most amazing interview for you. I'll put it in all of these cities around the world. I'll create all these assets for you. I'll do this, and this. Would that be of interest? Yeah, sure, Rob. Yeah. And how long do I need? 20 minutes. And so it's a creative way to start building relationships with my future clients, right? Because I'm not just looking for that quick transactional. I want to start with giving value. And so it became a great way for me then to start building relationships with law firms. And then, of course, they find out you also have legal talent. You also invest. You do all these other things. The relationship naturally grows stronger and stronger and stronger. So it also became a great way for me to get new clients for my mainstay company, which is obviously the legal recruiting side of things. So it was a strategic thought leadership, fun initiative, which was an idea that we dared to take action on.
Your thought about the kind of strategies which you may have built over the years while you were making this legal community, and how did you foster a collaborative and inclusive environment after our understanding that as lawyers, we are a little shy of actually going open in the world and talking about ourselves? How did you make that happen?
Very good question. Well, firstly, everything is energy, right? So I want to make sure that I'm bringing energy to what I do because I get energy off people that I give energy to. So I'm a big believer everything is energy. And secondly, I believe collaboration is domination, right? You gave an example there of us collaborating now, right? Because I've got an audience, you've got an audience, new people within your audiences are going to learn about me, new people in my audience are going to learn about you and the initiative and all the great work you're doing. So I strongly believe that, one of the ways I've been able to do this is, we is greater than me. I repeat that, we is greater than me. And so it's a great way to collaborate through growth. So I've been very good at collaborating with people within the legal industry because I think it's so important to not only create diversity of thought, but have an inclusivity mindset and also shine a light on people that not necessarily get the opportunity to have a light shined on. And then what else have I done? We've talked about the podcast. So I've created content pillar vehicles to be able to provide the community with something, because if you've got the idea, you have to go out there and share it. So it's on Apple, Spotify, Google, social media, LinkedIn. Now, it's even got, I now sort of advise LinkedIn on LinkedIn product rollouts. I was on, one of their LinkedIn audio product testers. I'm the most followed legal recruiter on LinkedIn. And, I've collaborated with social media stars like Gary Vee and many others. And LinkedIn is a platform that, I've done a lot of work with because I wanted to be able to share content where my legal audience is hanging out, which typically was LinkedIn. So I've had vehicles. I've hosted a lot of events, webinars. I've done a lot of talks. I've created the Legally Speaking Club Discord, which is an offline community where we can share interactive content. It's innovative, it's engaging. People can ask questions, careers related questions. They can feel seen, they can feel heard, because someone may not feel comfortable writing a comment openly on LinkedIn about something dedicated to their career. So why not have a safe space where people can come and ask questions? And, I like to share success stories as well of people who have done fantastic things in the industry. So, I'm all about making people feel seen, heard, valued, and belong. And so, when it comes to the legal community, it's not about me, right? It's great that I get all of these wonderful recognitions, but it's about the people that it's helping, right? Because these sort of things haven't come before. And actually, when you bring community together, so many things come from that: new ideas, new opportunities, friendships, business opportunities. So, I really do like to measure the impact and success of these initiatives, refining our approach. And the way that I do that is from the feedback and the it's the intrinsic things that I get. It's not the monetary side. It's actually, do you know what, Rob, you're doing a really good thing. Or I got a message the other day from someone who said, Rob, you delivered a webinar 6 months ago about networking. I've adopted these 6 strategies you mentioned. I have 10 interviews now with top law firms in the UK. I just want to say thank you. Things like that gives me a warm, fuzzy feeling of, okay, I'm doing something that's credible, helpful, useful, playing to my strengths, and really making sure that, there is a legacy that can be left. Because at the end of the day, all any of us have is a legacy. That is what fundamentally drives me and what I like to get from the legal community building side, because it's putting the community first.
Wow. So I'll right away move to my almost the last but not the least question. But I would like to ask you first, what are your views about the kind of legal trends that we are seeing nowadays? And how is it affecting the not only legal practice, but also the ways legal recruitment may have worked?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, there's a lot of legal trends at the moment. And by the way, a good resource, Clio's released the Legal Trends Report. It's free to download. One of the most comprehensive trend reports out there in the marketplace. I think the it's been the word of, or the 2 words of 2023, of course, is artificial intelligence. We can't go through a show without talking about AI, but that is the hot trend, right? That really has shaken up the industry phenomenally. Obviously, we started seeing with people with ChatGPT, and obviously now the time of we're recording, it's obviously the Sam Altman and the OpenAI debacle at the moment in terms of what's going on there. But this is, it's not a trend or a change, it's a revolution. We're in an industrial revolution because AI will not replace lawyers. AI will replace the lawyers who choose not to embrace AI. So I think it's a tool. And these are tools that we need to get familiar with. We need to learn. We need to learn our craft. And with that becomes a lot faster. So, there's lots of software management practice softwares out there, in addition to Clio, where you can use so much in-house under one hood, from template documents, even now to a tap to pay on your phone. That can become a phone terminal for your clients to pay your invoices. So it almost becomes like a phone terminal. There's amazing technology out there, and AI is absolutely just getting started in terms of all the things lawyers can do. So I would say really that is where you need to be focusing. And if I could give a shameless plug, we did an interview recently on the Legally Speaking podcast with Raymond Sun, who is a Herbert Smith Freehold technology lawyer, who is a LinkedIn top voice AI regulation. And he also won top 30 under 30 weekly lawyers in Australia. He is somewhat, I don't think anybody's an expert in AI, but he is exceptionally knowledgeable. And we talk a lot about AI, the understanding of what it means for the legal profession, machine learning, understanding deep learning. We even talk about biosynthetic, artificial intelligence, which is brain matter that now potentially could emulate empathy and human emotion. So you think of how that could potentially come into the legal industry from a jury perspective or from a sort of advocating perspective. Like it's really this revolution. It's going to be an industry we would never thought of before. And so that is the hot trend that you need to be sticking around and sticking on and educating and following people on LinkedIn who produce content, who are giving away seminars, webinars, active things related to this, because it's going to help you and you're going to stay ahead of the curve. I think what that means for legal recruitment, it just means there's going to be the birth of all new roles, new opportunities. And I'm excited. It's great to have been recruiting corporate lawyers, litigation lawyers, and all of these other things. But, if nothing changes, nothing changes, right? And we're going through change. And so we're going to see all these new exciting opportunities, and we're going to be recruiting for new skill sets or looking for new skill sets. And I also think with all this advent of technology, it's very important to say this could potentially help bridge the gap for access to justice. One of the biggest problems right now is access to justice, is affordability. I think if it's used in the right way, obviously there are ethical concerns, and I should put a disclaimer on everything I've said today. Of course, do your own research, do your own due diligence. My content here today is just purely for information and just general sharing purposes. So please ensure that you do that. But as someone who's bullish on AI and a believer in tech for good, I think this could really help with the access for justice and legal aid and so many other things out there that are very, very important. So they're just some sort of thoughts around trends and new opportunities and what it means for legal recruitment. And I'm very excited.
I'll move ahead with my almost the last question about you giving some suggestions for the new lawyers who are looking forward to launching their freelance career, or they want to try and find what can be their true calling, be it in legal sector or be it in freelance legal sector, or again, in your own words, career for life. What suggestions will you give those lawyers, the first generation ones, who really want to make their names in this world?
Why do you work? It sounds crazy, but why do you work? Outside of the obvious, which would be to create an income to live, really do some deep thinking around why do you work? Why did you want to become a legal professional? What was it about that? And is what you're doing currently align with that? Why do you work? Or is that evolved? So I think you have to do some internal work first. To the question about the freelancing, I fully support lawyers considering freelancing because it offers flexibility and autonomy, and it offers another way that never used to be available, right? So I think it's fantastic. I think it can offer a diverse legal roles and opportunities. So it can give people the chance to have their true calling. They also, I think in terms of being a successful freelancer, we've talked all about networking, personal branding, but these are really, really important things because you need to have that strong network up of people, because that's where typically you're going to get referrals, you're going to get inbound leads, you're going to get opportunities, and it may even be speaking opportunities. So I think it's really important that you focus on a lot of what we've discussed today. I think also adapting to the market's leads and maintaining flexibility is crucial for freelancers. You are not trying to move a juggernaut law firm. if you're a freelancer, you can maybe be flexible in your service offering, in your delivery, in your pricing, in whatever it might be, the way that you charge clients. So again, this gives you flexibility over potentially competitive law firms that might be more traditional, might be more rugged. So you having a chance to be more bespoke to your clients in line with what's good for you. I also think you need to continue with professional development. Okay, so you need to continue as a freelance with that professional development. Mentors are good for that, courses are good for that, and also ensure ultimately it's still going to give you that personal fulfillment. That's so important when you're freelancing, because you're kind of giving you a chance to break through free. I always say, there's a lot of golden handcuffs out there. There's a lot of people in very good jobs in the legal profession, in very top law firms, paid a lot of money, and they can't break free. And so, having this opportunity sometimes to, dare to put yourself out there, to follow up, practicing it a different way, I think is super, super exciting. And I just encourage people to, work on things that will fulfill them, because, there's been statistics over the year that 85% of people are unhappy in their jobs. I would love for people to be happier in their legal roles or whatever they do in the legal industry. And for that, we need to do that deep rooted work of why do you work? What really motivates you? What doesn't motivate you? What don't you like? And then build these relationships with heads of recruitment, legal recruiters, HR professionals, partners, to establish that the right opportunities or the right business opportunities come your way. It's so, so important. But I'm a big fan of freelance. And I think people finding their true calling is a gift. But it takes work. And I think it's really important that you are the sum of the parts of the people you hang around. So if you're around people that are maybe quite negative or not really inspiring you or not pushing you or challenging you and helping you grow, I would say you probably need to move into new circles, because the comfort zone is great, but nothing grows there. And so really, to find your true calling, you want to be around people that are going to uplift you, bring out the best in you, challenge you, and ultimately help you get you on the way.
Thank you so much, Rob, for this mind-boggling session. I am Divya Dwivedi. I work as a senior associate with LawSeco, and I'm really thankful to you for accepting our invitation and enlightening us with your amazing, amazing thoughts. It has been fun. I don't know how, I cannot express in words as in how fast this time went off, but thank you again for accepting and coming here on our YouTube channel and on our Super Lawyer website. We will be more than happy to host one session with you for our learners as well live, where they'll be able to ask you live questions if obviously you accept that proposal.
No, I absolutely would. And I've had an absolute blast. It's been fabulous. You're a very kind supporter and, friend in the legal world. And I feel even more connected. And that's the beauty of online. We've been able to come closer together, collaborate together, do great things together. I've had a wonderful time. I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for all the team and all the great work that you're doing. And I do hope I've shared some value today that will help your audience.